Picture this. You're lost in a foreign city, thousands of miles from home. You can't read the signs, you can't speak the language, and then, out of nowhere, a stranger walks up to you. They don't ask for anything, they don't expect a tip. A motorbike taxi driver waves you onto the back of his bike and rides 10 minutes out of his way, just to drop you exactly where you need to be. A market vendor slips an extra piece of fruit into your bag, smiles, and waves off your attempt to pay for it. A stranger at a bus stop notices you squinting at a timetable you can't read and simply stands there with you, just to point at the right door when it finally arrives. This happens so often in Thailand that the country built an entire identity around it. The land of smiles. A place where kindness to outsiders seems almost effortless. But here's the question almost nobody asks. Why? Why would a culture direct so much warmth toward people who will never be seen again? People who contribute nothing to the community, speak none of the local language, and leave within days? The real answer is stranger and far more calculated than Thai people are just nice. It's tempting to stop the explanation there. Warm culture, warm people, and a video. But that explanation falls apart the moment you ask a simple follow-up question. If kindness toward outsiders were purely a matter of national temperament, it should look roughly the same everywhere toward everyone all the time. It doesn't. The same person capable of going out of their way for a confused tourist can be famously reserved, even guarded, with someone from their own neighborhood they've quietly fallen out with. So whatever is actually happening here, it isn't simple personality. It's a pattern with rules. And rules have origins. To understand it, you have to go back further than you'd expect. Centuries before tourism existed, before airports, before the word foreigner carried any economic weight at all. In the 17th century, the kingdom of Ayutthaya was already one of the busiest trading ports in Asia. Persian merchants walked its streets, running entire trading houses. Japanese samurai served as royal bodyguards. Dutch and Portuguese diplomats negotiated treaties from dedicated foreign quarters built specifically to house them. A Greek-born advisor named Constantine Falcon even rose to become one of the most powerful men at the Ayutthayan court, trusted with state affairs most native-born officials never touched. The city itself was laid out around this openness. A Portuguese settlement sat along the riverbank. A Japanese village housed hundreds of merchants and former samurai. A Persian quarter ran its own trading houses almost like a small embassy district. None of these communities were tolerated reluctantly. They were courted because each one brought goods, weapons, and connections the kingdom wanted. Foreign envoys recorded with genuine surprise how openly outsiders were received, not because the Thai court was naive, because a kingdom built on trade survives by making outsiders want to come back and want to keep doing business. Hosting strangers well wasn't just etiquette, it was infrastructure. The entire economy depended on it. Layer onto that centuries of village life, where rice farming demanded something modern cities have mostly forgotten: mutual labor. Planting and harvesting rice is brutally time-sensitive work. No single family could do it alone. So villages developed long, rotating cycles of favor trading. You help with my field today, I help with yours next week, and somebody else's cousin helps with the harvest after that. This created something economists call a moral economy, a web of unwritten debts where generosity wasn't optional kindness, it was survival infrastructure, repaid not immediately, but eventually, by someone, somehow, often without either side ever saying a word about it out loud. Picture an entire row of families moving down a single rice field together. One household's harvest one week, the neighboring household's next week. No contract signed, no ledger kept, and yet everyone involved knew with total certainty that the favor would circle back around eventually. That quiet certainty, that help given freely still finds its way home, is the same logic, centuries later, applied effortlessly to a confused tourist standing on the wrong street corner. Layered on top of all of this is a concept most Westerners have never heard of: Krang Jai. There's no perfect English translation. The closest is something like a reluctance to impose on someone out of respect for their feelings, but it undersells it. Krangjai is a social operating system. It governs how you speak to someone older than you, how you decline a favor you don't want, how you avoid causing anyone, even a stranger, a single moment of discomfort even at real cost to yourself. Sitting right alongside it is another concept, lighter in tone, but just as influential. Sanuk, the cultural expectation that interactions, even small ones, should carry a sense of fun and ease rather than tension. A culture that prizes Sanuk treats a stranded tourist less like a problem to be solved efficiently and more like an opportunity for a small, playful, low-stakes interaction. Helping you becomes its own brief moment of enjoyment, not a chore. And running underneath Krangjai is a Buddhist concept called Tambun, making merit. In Theravada Buddhism, the dominant tradition across Thailand, almost every act of generosity is believed to generate spiritual credit that carries into future lives. Feeding monks at dawn, releasing caged birds at a temple, donating to a stranger in need. Helping someone, especially someone who can never repay you, is considered one of the purest forms of merit-making there is. Anthropologist Niels Mulder spent decades studying Thai social structure up close, and his work describes something striking. Generosity toward strangers isn't randomly distributed kindness, it's a spiritual transaction, and the less the receiver can repay you, the more valuable the merit becomes. A foreigner who will fly home in 3 days and never be seen again? That's close to merit in its purest form. No debt, no obligation, just pure, uncomplicated giving. So already, the story is shifting. It isn't simple warmth. It's centuries of trade port diplomacy. It's rice field reciprocity. It's Buddhist merit-making. It's social collectivist reputation management. It's face-saving social theater with low personal risk. And it's 60 years of deliberate tourism branding, quietly shaping behavior at national scale. None of that makes the kindness fake. The help is real. The warmth is genuinely felt in the moment by real people, choosing in that instant to be generous to you, specifically, for reasons even they might not fully articulate. But it does mean something deeper than nice people exist here. It means an entire society built layered, overlapping incentives, historical, spiritual, social, economic, and reputational, that all happen to point in the exact same direction, toward the stranger. Now turn that mirror back on yourself for a second. Have you ever noticed you're sometimes warmer to a stranger on a plane than the person sitting across from you at dinner? Friendlier to a customer service call than a sibling you haven't called back in weeks? It's not hypocrisy. It's the same ancient mechanism running quietly in your own behavior. Low-risk generosity toward people with no history attached to them almost by default, simply because nothing is attached to them yet. The people who built up history with you, the ones who know your worst days, your old arguments, your unpaid emotional debts, often get whatever is left over once the easy generosity has already been spent elsewhere. So the next time a stranger in a foreign country helps you find your way home, remember this. It isn't simple. It's centuries of trade, religion, evolution, social theater, and branding, all converging on a single quiet moment of kindness. You can appreciate that moment fully and still understand exactly how it was built. The two aren't in conflict. Knowing the architecture behind a gift doesn't make the gift smaller. If anything, it makes it more remarkable that so many forces stacked across hundreds of years could land on the same simple instinct: help the person who has nothing to offer you back. And maybe the next stranger worth that same kindness isn't thousands of miles away after all. Maybe they're sitting right across the table from you.